I tested the MacBook Neo for music production and I have to say it works. It works very well actually. I put it through the full test in Ableton, Logic with Kontakt instruments and Omnisphere. And today I'm going to show you how to optimize a MacBook Neo setup for music production. So why take my word for it? Well, I started this YouTube channel using a MacBook 12. That was the cheapest MacBook you can get back in the day. And I produced music on it and even edited 4K videos on it. And I made it work. Today's Neo is much more powerful than what I used back in the day. And I'm going to show you how to set up a music studio to make the MacBook Neo a great production machine. Now let's get your main question out of the way. Can the MacBook Neo run popular DAWs? Ableton, Logic, FL Studio, Fender Studio Pro, Bitwig, Reaper. Yes, they all work. I tried them and I even tested heavy projects with large Kontakt instruments, Omnisphere, Ozone, multiple effects, and more. It ran just fine. You can finish a full song on the MacBook Neo, but there are a few caveats that you need to consider. I'll get into more details about how and what I tested, but first, if you're thinking about buying a Neo, here's what you need to know. The Neo is an entry-level MacBook. In fact, the most affordable laptop Apple has ever made. And you wouldn't know it by just looking at it or touching it. If I had my eyes closed, I wouldn't know if I was holding my MacBook Pro or the MacBook Neo, except maybe for the weight. The Neo is lighter, of course. It runs Apple's very reliable chipset. It has a nice screen, an excellent trackpad and keyboard. In fact, the trackpad on this, the cheapest MacBook ever, beats every trackpad I've ever tried on a Windows machine. Oh, and this does come in 4 different colors. This is the citrus version. Now, there are some limitations that you should know about. This MacBook is limited to 8 GB of RAM. You can't upgrade it to more when you buy it. That's it. You're stuck with it. Stay tuned for my performance test. However, you can choose from 2 sizes of internal storage. I highly suggest you get the 512 GB one, the larger SSD. You'll have extra room for recordings and plugins. You'll be surprised how much space gets used up really fast. Now, the other limitation are the ports. You get just 2 USB-C ports and one is faster than the other. And that means you need to set up your studio the right way to make sure you can use audio interfaces, keyboards, speakers, external drives, and headphones. I've got some essential recommendations for you later in this video. The last small limitation are the built-in speakers. They don't sound great and they're not loud. Now, you're producing music, so you're not mixing with these speakers, but keep that in mind. You'll want to carry around your studio headphones when you travel with this. And by the way, the headphone level is great. I tested several headphones and they sound good and loud. What a weird mix. Okay. Now, if you're buying a Neo, you can use it for a lot more stuff. And if you want a full tech review that isn't like the others, go watch Jonathan Morrison's video. I spent some time making music with him in LA a couple weeks ago, and we used the Neo while we were there. And in his video, he goes deep into the Neo. Don't miss it. I'll link it over here and below. Now, let's talk briefly about performance. I was able to run Ableton Live with no problem. I loaded a full song I recorded with 27 tracks, ran just fine. Then I added 10 tracks of the biggest Kontakt instruments in my collection, and it ran just fine. It struggled when I added the 11th. And I did all of this while running Ozone in real time on the master track with a synth plugin and more in the mix. It works just fine. In fact, if you're running 13 Omnispheres at a time, that's a lot. I've never done that. The Neo will run pretty much any reasonable song recording with plugins, but if you're a cinematic composer with tons of orchestral VSTs running at once, you might run into some issues. And even then, you have some workarounds like freezing tracks and bouncing. I played a MIDI controller, no issues. I also ran a test with Logic, actually one that was running an Atmos mix. It worked just fine. Similar results to Ableton. All performance aside, there's one thing that I noticed very soon. These instruments take up a lot of space on the internal drive. So let's get to some practical tips. By the way, if you want to check out how a full song was created, make sure you check out Alyssa's channel where they show you how they recorded and mixed a full song on the Neo. Yeah, you can do it and you can watch it right here. So you can absolutely make great music on the MacBook Neo, but Apple made a few decisions that mean you have to work within the limitations. So I'm going to show you how to set this up in a way that keeps costs low and keeps the music making enjoyable. First, we're dealing with only 2 ports, and only one is capable of higher speeds. So I suggest maximizing what you can do on that port. I bought this Anchor USB-C hub. I'll link it below. I tested all my gear with the Neo, and this hub really helps a lot. You can charge your Neo through this, connect another USB-C data device and 2 USB-A devices, and it has SD and micro SD ports and an Ethernet port. Everything is here. This hub should connect to the USB-C port closest to the screen. That's the faster one. Then I connected the external solid-state drive. I'm using the Samsung T7. These have been super reliable for me. I have a bunch of large VST instrument libraries saved on this, including the Omnisphere and Kontakt ones that I was playing here. And then I connected my audio interface. This is the Focusrite Scarlett Solo, so you can record in microphones and guitars, and you can output to the studio monitors. More on that in a sec. Now, if you're adding a MIDI controller or drum pads or a launch pad or something, you should use the other port, the one closer to the front of the MacBook Neo, because that is the slower port and MIDI doesn't need high speed to work. Whoa, way loud. So now with this full setup, I can play virtual instruments, I can record in a microphone or a guitar, and even connect to external studio monitors. I'm using the IK Multimedia iLoud Micro Studio monitors. These are excellent if you're tight on space, and even if you're low on budget. You'll see them used by Ed Sheeran and Benny Blanco when they're creating a song here. And these get even better with the iLoud sub. I mean, it takes your setup to the next level. This subwoofer is small. I don't know how it's putting out all the sound that it is. And if you get this sub, you'll have the room correction software and everything to make a serious studio for your MacBook Neo. Now, as far as audio interfaces, you can pretty much use anything with one exception. You won't be able to use Thunderbolt interfaces like the Universal Audio Apollo or certain Apogee interfaces that use Thunderbolt. Yes, that's a small limitation of the Neo since it has no Thunderbolt ports, but honestly, if you're upgrading to that level of interface, you already might be considering a more advanced laptop like the MacBook Pro anyway. Now, as far as MIDI controllers go, when I tested this, there was minimal latency even with larger projects. And of course, you can adjust the sample rate in your DAW to compensate for any latency. Okay, so let's talk about some other ways to make your MacBook Neo more efficient as you produce. Got several tips for you next. By the way, you can get all this studio gear from Guitar Center. I just released a video showing you their full flagship store in Hollywood. If you're looking for any gear for your studio, you can find it at your local Guitar Center or on guitarcenter.com. Whatever you need for your studio, they've got it right here. If you need MIDI controllers, synths, headphones, microphones, and if you need help deciding what gear to buy, Guitar Center staff are here to help you out. Use the link below to get the best deals on guitarcenter.com right now, and let's get back to the studio. All right, so let's get into making your setup more efficient so you get the most out of the Neo. Now, first and most important, get into the habit of storing your large sample libraries and instruments on an external drive like this one. You can set your installation locations for most major programs, including native instruments, Kontakt libraries, and native access. So they always install the largest files on the external drive. Listen, a brand new MacBook is going to feel fast and smooth until some time goes by and you've recorded a bunch of stuff and added a bunch of plugins and it starts slowing down as your internal drive fills up. So getting into the habit of using one of these really helps you in the long run. And this Samsung SSD is super small, so when you're on the go, you can easily take this with you, even if it's the only other thing you take along with the Neo. Effects plugins, synth plugins are typically small, but sampled libraries like orchestral stuff and large instruments like Omnisphere take a lot of space because they come with large recorded samples built in. I've used the Samsung T5 and T7 portable SSDs for a long time, and they've been great and fast. You can even find the T5s on the used market. I'll add links to some nice options below. All right, here's another tip. If your music project is getting big, I mean like what it was doing when I added 13 Omnisphere instances, every major DAW out there allows you to freeze heavy tracks or bounce heavy instrument or plugin tracks. That's going to save your CPU by limiting how much processing it's doing on those plugin heavy tracks. Okay, one more thing to keep in mind. The Neo does not have an internal fan, so you got to keep this cool. Don't store it around other hot gear. Keep it in a well-ventilated space. That helps this laptop perform optimally and doesn't throttle the performance. If the Neo starts to run hot, it will automatically go into throttling mode where it slows down everything until it cools. If you've got a large project and it stays in a well-ventilated space, you can avoid this. All right, I've got some final thoughts, including who might benefit from a MacBook Pro instead. Yeah, the Neo might not be for everyone. But before I get to that, if you're putting your music out there, make sure you check out DistroKid. It's a simple and fast way to get your music onto Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, pretty much everywhere. And DistroKid collects earnings for you when anyone plays or purchases your music. It's simple to use and includes tools to help you build your audience. I've created 2 dedicated videos on DistroKid that'll probably answer any questions you have. You can watch them right here, and if you're ready to sign up, click the link below to get 7% off your first year of membership. All right, who is the MacBook Neo for? If you want to produce music on a Mac, especially if you want to use Logic Pro or GarageBand and you're on a tight budget, this is the entry-level laptop to get. You can complete full beats, full songs on this. It runs all the plugins I threw at it, including the big ones, Kontakt, Omnisphere. You'll be able to finish projects on this. This is a great laptop for beginners. You're not spending a lot of money and you can save up to build your studio with the other gear. Headphones, studio monitors, all the other stuff. Oh, and if you're looking for some good headphones, stay tuned till the end. The Neo is also going to be great for producers who want a machine they can take with them when they travel or on commutes. You might not want to take a $5,000 to $7,000 MacBook Pro everywhere. Now, who is this setup not for? Well, let's see. Heavy mix engineers, film composers who frequently work on large orchestral templates, or hardware-heavy studios. If this sounds like you, this should not be your primary laptop. Oh, and of course, if you're heading to Thunderbolt interfaces, you won't be able to use them with the Neo. Listen, I feel like this is going to fit the bill for tons of people out there, and if it sounds like you, I have a feeling you're going to be happy with a MacBook Neo. I started with a cheap MacBook, much less powerful than this one, and I created full songs, full beats, and my YouTube channel on it. Yeah, I eventually upgraded, and you can too in time. This will get you started, and your listeners will be impressed by what you can do with just the Neo. I'll link everything from this video below, and hey, if you're ready to buy some headphones, I reviewed the best studio headphones you can buy at any budget in the video right here. Start making the music you love, and I'll see you soon.